Well, I've done a terrible thing. I've gone against manufacturer recommendations for rainbow exhaust filters. So Thomas and I had our latest mini meet, and his aunt's rainbow had a massive moldy smell in it. I mean, there was just mold, mildew, and it was just everywhere, including in the filter itself. So the terrible smell was completely embedded into the filter. So here's a little foam gasket right there. I'm not too worried about that. So I'm going to do an experiment. I have already started this experiment, and what I've done is I've taken this filter right here, and most of the terrible moldy smell comes from this end that actually faces the fans, not from this end that faces the outside of the canister, but it still smells when you turn it on. And yesterday I put it in this bucket of water, completely submerged it, and put about a half a cup of persil in there. So it's very, very concentrated persil. And I'm going to let this finish soaking, completely submerged, for 24 hours. Then I'm going to take it out and drain everything out of it I can and give it a good rinse. And then I'm going to quick dry it. I can put it in the sun, put a fan on it. I can put it on the back of a rainbow itself, and it'll probably blow a little water out of it. But I want to see if you let a filter become essentially damaged, at least from a odoriferous standpoint, can it be saved? And we're going to test things like airflow and particle count, as well as give it the old sniff test. So I'm pretty sure the manufacturer says that the only thing they want you to do, if you ever even consider doing that, says rinse with water only, no soap. Well, obviously what's in here is a soap. And I started out with hot water. Of course, this is the next day, so it is cold water. So this is going to be an experiment. It may succeed, it may fail, it may give mixed results. But let's see what happens. We're going to follow down the rabbit holes and see if we can make this thing work. Now it's been a little over 24 hours, so let's rinse all this stuff. See what happens. A little bit of dirt came out, didn't it? smells wonderful for now. So what I need to do is actually either leave it in water until I get a chance to start the quick drying process, or start the quick drying process now. But what I don't want to do is just leave this like this and take a really long time to dry it, because other stuff could form in there again. But right now, it looks great and it smells good. Let's see if I can get this close. You can see this better. So it looks really nice now. It's not perfect, but it's really good. Here, I hope you can see that. So after the major bathtub rinse, I decided to go and put the aforementioned smelly filter in a bucket of water, completely submerge it for a little over 12 hours. So just for reference, here is a brand new filter, and this guy's hardly had any use whatsoever. You can see just how clean it is. So let's see how well the really terrible, previously moldy one came out. I'm going to try to get as much water out of this as possible. Might have to play with this a little bit off camera as it collects, but just seeing what it looks like at the moment. I don't think it's as good as the brand new one. This side isn't too bad though. You can see it's still dripping. So I'm going to play with this a little bit off camera and then dump that water. It's still coming out. Then we're going to go ahead and install it on the back of that platinum blue. So I'm not going to go and snap the rear filter cover on just yet, just in case something weird happens. So we have this little like neoprene rubber gasket. Oh, it's in wonderful shape, no more smell. So let's see what happens. I've gotten most of the water out, or at least I think I have most of the water out. I'm going to hold this in by hand. Okay, and away we go. Like that blew some more water out, which is what I wanted it to do. It's a nice little puddle there. Now look at that. Came right out. Okay. Let's watch some bubbles. Let me see, maybe I can hook up a hose here and blow some out of this hole. Let's see, if I get a D4 CSE, put it in blower mode, and then hook up the wand to the E2 and have that hooked to the rear of the filter, I think I can get some airflow blowing this way, which is what I was looking for. So let's see how well that works. it's not blowing a whole lot of water out in that direction. Guess I'll flip it back over to the way we started with. It's indeed a nice hot day out, but there's just no real air movement. Everything's just kind of still. So, got this little cheap box fan, got my new anemometer out there, and of course you see the rainbow filter there, still obviously wet. Got the fan turned on high, and let's see what kind of airflow we have near the filter intake. So love my new meter because I don't need a calculator. So let's see here, got the air going the arrow, that is right here, going the right direction. And let's see how much airflow we have hitting the top of that filter. So it looks like we're a little over 20 CFM. Isn't that something? Now see, if I go down here, see how it drops off? See, I come up here, and it peaks out. Then come up here. It's like it peaks out a little bit more. I have to put the filter up a little higher, like on a box. So pretty much going right into the top of that filter, helping to dry it. Hey, we got a little more. About 24 oh, 23. Well, whatever. You see what's going on, and it's nice that you don't need a calculator. Direct CFM measurement. Yay! So I'm gonna leave this setup for a while, probably a couple hours, and then I might turn the filter upside down and blow into the other hole. There you go. See, I guess if I get real close to it, that's going to kill the airflow, obviously. What's going in, I need to back up a little further. So maybe I'll revise my initial number, maybe closer to 24 CFM. Cool. Okay, what do we do if we don't have an extra box fan? Or maybe we don't have a deck we can go dry it on, or something like that. How can we dry it with just the machine itself? So, obviously, some people say, just go ahead and put this in the back, all right? But there's a problem when this thing is really, really wet, and you saw that earlier. And the last thing you want to do is have this thing be so wet where it doesn't really pass any airflow through, or very little, and then the input goes down to almost 0 CFM. The motor gets overheated because you're putting too much back pressure on the motor back here, so you don't want to do that. But what if you just want to go and say, hey, look, I got a water bowl right here. Obviously this thing can suck in water. Maybe this thing is fairly full of water. This isn't right now, but maybe I can go and use this machine to dry it another way. How about this? Well, there's one side. And there's the other side. So you can actually get a little airflow through both sides, just kind of sticking it right up here without doing anything special. And you don't have to worry about any excess water going in here because this is a water vacuum. No problems. Huh, how about that? Well, we're probably about halfway dry so far, but we got a little farther to go. Spent a few hours outside and we need to keep going. It's been a little over 24 hours that I've made an attempt to do the best job possible to fully dry the previously icky, smelly rainbow exhaust filter. Now what you see right down here is brand new one. So see how nice that is? And also same thing up here, nice and white. So I know with this filter installed on this machine, we got about 97 CFM from the intake right there, and the particle count from the exhaust was 6 0.3 micron particles, and the other two sizes, the 2.5 and the 10 micron, were both zeros. So let's see if this whole mess that I've fiddled with for couple of days at least will bring us any kind of reasonable results. And remember, I've literally done a whole bunch of things that Rainbow does not really recommend. I certainly don't think they recommend that you submerge it for days, and I don't think they also recommend that you submerge it in heavy concentration of persil. So will that affect the particle count? So let's take a look at the canister intake airflow and see how close we are to 97 CFM. Okay, so we're off about 3 CFM, about 94 CFM. And I must say, a couple hours ago, I was getting about 91 CFM. So the filter, not this guy, but the other one in the back there, is still drying. And I wonder, maybe in another 12 to 24 hours, if it's entirely possible that that might rise up a little bit. But airflow-wise, we're in good shape. So let's check particle count. See if all that persil has really messed up its ability to filter the air. The moment of truth. How well will it measure? We got triple zeros. Three more zeros. And the third time. Well, what can I say? 4 sets of triple zeros. So the ridiculous and outrageously long cleaning, soaking, and then drying method obviously worked. So 2 big thumbs up. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more.